Each war, conflict, or situation has players or actors involved. In this case, it is the United States versus China. President Trump has called out China on trade. Trump said when a country like the USA is losing many billions of dollars on trade with virtually every country it does business with, trade wars are good and easy to win. Trump claims China is violating trade agreements and sending cheap, excess steel into the global market. China is the world's largest steel exporter. China has also fired back a complaint on the United States tariffs on IP addresses. Now we'll look at a timeline of events leading to and up to what is happening on this trade war. What is a trade war? There are many definitions, but a trade war is a situation in which states or countries, in this case China and the United States, try to damage each other's trade, typically by the imposing of tariffs or quota restrictions. President Trump has put tariffs on China, and China is reciprocating. Before we analyze the theories and elements of international trade and the effect on this trade war, let's look at a timeline that's still evolving. There are updates every day. In January 2018, the United States announced tariffs on imported solar panels and washing machines. In March 2018, Trump announced plans for 25% tariff on steel and 10% tariff on aluminum. In April 2018, China announced tariffs on U.S. imports ranging from 15% to 25% on goods ranging from pipes to pork. In June 2018, Trump decided to push on with plans to impose tariffs in July. China has also made plans to impose more tariffs in response. Next, we'll take a quick look at what tariffs are. A tariff is a tax that a government places on goods that are imported. This makes the foreign products more expensive and helping domestic makers of the product who don't have to pay the tax. Now, we'll look at some theories. With the mercantilism theory of international trade, the most important goal of economic policy is the creation of the most favorable possible distribution of wealth for our country. President Trump is attempting to do this by helping steel producers in the United States, as opposed to liberalism, where the most important goal of economic policy is the maximum creation of total wealth through achieving optimal efficiency. This entails all states competing and the government staying out. It deals with the balance of trade and export and make more money. Trump is going against this by stopping competition. Why is President Trump doing this? Trump wants to protect American interests, and his goal is to protect domestic American industry. A theory that explains this is protectionism, a practice of shielding a country's industries from foreign competition by taxing imports. Exports aren't normally taxed. Trump is using this to protect our industries and also using nationalism, an American aspect, American dominance in the steel industry for one. Another reason the United States is imposing tariffs or restrictions is that China has been involved in forced technology transfer, pilfering of intellectual property, and in denial of access to Chinese markets. China runs a $350 billion-plus trade surplus with the United States and is on a concentrated campaign to unfairly take over a host of industries in which the United States specializes. To sum it up in the words of Donald Trump, people have no idea how badly our country has been mistreated. What's the effect of this? Let's look at the domestic and global impact of this trade war between the United States and China. Here are some of the impacts. On the domestic side, we have the United States farmers losing sales, a drop in Dow Jones, nationalism, and it may cost U.S. auto worker jobs. On the global side, shipments slowing at ports and airports, prices for raw materials are rising, factory orders are being cut, retaliation from other states, a threat to the NAFTA and the WTO, or the World Trade Organization. What is the impact, or what may be the impact of this trade war? On a global scale, since the announcement, international shipments are slowing at ports and airports due to uncertainty. Prices for raw materials are rising, and worldwide factory orders are being cut. An important and interesting impact is retaliation from other states and nations such as the EU, European Union, Mexico, and Canada. The EU has already hit back at Trump with billions in tariffs. Canada and Mexico have been talking about sanctions, and this impact goes even further by disrupting trade with Mexico and Canada and introducing tariffs. There is a threat to the North American Free Trade Agreement, or the NAFTA. Globally, we need to see what the WTO or World Trade Organization is going to do and what role it will play in this trade war. Additionally, China may turn more to Africa as we've read about in the module paper. In China, data shows that credit and investment growth have taken a major hit. Protectionism is threatening to slow global trends. Domestically, United States farmers will lose sales with tariffs. There was a drop in the Dow Jones with the announcement. Another effect would be that the tariff will affect U.S. automakers and cost their jobs. As you can see, a trade war would have a major impact on the global and domestic economy. President Trump and his need for nationalism and protectionism may be harming the United States economy in turn and affecting the global economy as well. What's next? Now we've seen the who, why, and what, and looked at the impact of a U.S.-China trade war. What's next? What is the future of the U.S.-China trade war, and is there really going to be a war? There is a lot of talk. Trump is trying to be tough on trade, but will it hurt the United States or the world? These are questions that have to be answered sooner rather than later, and the answers will have an effect on the United States and the global economy. I will leave you with some alternatives to tariffs. As one source said, tariffs won't stop China's mercantilism. Here are some alternatives. 1. Get the WTO involved, bring a case against China. 2. Reform the United States antitrust law. 3. Suspend technical and scientific cooperation with China. 4. Deny access to Chinese headquarters enterprises from listing on U.S. stock exchanges. And 5. Build an alliance with like-minded allies. The United States could get the World Trade Organization involved by bringing a case against China, especially involving IP and tech. We could ask Congress to reform the United States antitrust law so foreign enterprises on U.S. soil should not be exempt from U.S. antitrust law. Not allow access to Chinese headquarter enterprises from listing on U.S. stock exchanges, suspend technical and scientific cooperation with China, and build an alliance with like-minded allies, including Japan, Korea, Europe, and Commonwealth nations. The intent behind their measures is not to punish China for the sake of it, but to ensure that trade and economic relations move forward on a fair and equitable basis according to WTO rules. In conclusion, we may be in a trade war with China, which will affect the domestic and global economy. Now there's a lot of posturing and talk, but that can change at any minute. This is a situation we need to watch closely. My name is Caitlin Barber, and this is my international trade presentation for PS 130. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.